Correct. Yeah, I was going to wait until started. So actually, our meeting is currently being connected. So we'll shortly be broadcasting. So for those of you that are joining us via computer speakers, I'm sure you can hear me now. I know we've all been anticipating these adding and reporting grantee training webinars. So we want to rush on and get started. A couple of things I wanted to make sure to do a sound check for everyone. And so if you can all look on the bottom of your webinar screen, you'll have a little guy with his hand raised up. And go ahead and click on that and click the raise hand option if you can hear me properly. We've all raised our hands. For Precious, um, if you cannot hear us, you're more than welcome to use the call-in number, and I'm going to add that in right now. And just call in and see. I've added that in. So if you can't hear us through the speakers, use the conference call number. If not, it just may be your connection, and so maybe you want to try to get in and get out again, get out and get in again. So so we have our sound check ready to go. Below the chat pod, you have meeting materials pod, and this is where all of the information from the webinar is included for you to download. So you just simply select the file name, and then you can save to my computer. You'll notice that it becomes highlighted. And so go ahead and get through all of that because we'll be going through that material. And it's very helpful as well for you to have your instructions in front of you as we're doing the demo because we're going to be following those exact instructions. And so with that said, I just wanted to let you all know that we do have Andy Ridgway on the call and Ray Williams from DCO, and then Jerome Grimmer with Illinois WorkNet, and I am Juana Maria with Illinois WorkNet as well. And so with that, I'd like to get started. So a little bit of the webinar is just going to be kind of going through the background and introductions to the project. Many of you have already been on and have been pretty proficient going through and submitting your projects. And so just kind of go through some of that. And then we'll go through the project workflow and make sure that everybody knows all the new participant and employer grantee resources out there and information. We have a lot of new stuff up there. As well as going through the process of adding incumbent workers and assigning them to the training courses. This is very important as part of our process because you wouldn't be able to, you have to submit and you have to add your employees and assign them to the training courses in order to do quarterly reports, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Then once we go through all of that, we'll do a short demonstration for you to see what that all looks like. So I'm sure it's easy to kind of listen in and as I talk through it and show you some of the stuff, but it's easier for you to actually actualize what the process is. And then we'll go through some next steps and Q&As for those of you that have further questions. So just to give you an idea, with the application process and what that means is for all those that have submitted by November 16th, 2009. And so all that really means is just going through and knowing what your roles and definitions are. If you need more details on that policy letter, it is available on the Workforce Professionals Pathway. So I highly encourage for you to just go on there and find out all the other different resources that are available to you because they're very useful. And I know a lot of us are getting questions, and so this is a good place for you to start. Another thing I wanted to add on there is within this process, as I mentioned before, it's really, really important to submit a project plan before beginning this project. So you cannot add or update any of this stuff if you don't have your project plan submitted. So once that is done, you can add and update an incumbent worker as they are identified. So if you have new workers in a new quarter, you can keep adding them. They just won't be included in the previous quarter. And then once that is done, the third part is submitting your quarterly reports, and so we'll go through that. And here we go, so the process and workflow overview. And so for those of you that have joined us in the previous webinar, just to touch upon the differences between the two grants, and WIA and RRA grants, so formula and non-formula, and the only real difference is that one is being initiated by DCO while the other one is being submitted by the grantee. And so wanted to show that again, kind of go through your process and show you the different options in submitting these plans and how you identify your grantees and the way plans work and how it could be kind of gone through with the different employers or whoever you may have. And we've also included some brand new instructions or just forms based on the DCO forms that you received previously that kind of walk you through what kind of information to ask from your employers or from your participants. And this is really great so that when they do submit all this stuff in, you could just have that all in front of you. So a lot of people found that very helpful, and so we've put that together for you, and it's available in the meeting materials pod. Um, and so where another place you can find this, and we actually do have this archived, but you can go onto the Workforce Professionals Pathway, and we have a whole resources page that you can access. And what I wanted to mention here is to just really reinforce when talking to your participants and talking to your employers that workNet, the portal, is very secure. We have a secured socket layer, and so your social security numbers and private information is all encrypted and safe on the portal. But also this is a great, when I'm not sure what that is, but so what I would do is when these individuals come up and have kind of issue these concerns, just encourage them to go on and start their Illinois WorkNet accounts, because that way they are the only one that have access to that information, and so it's a safe and secure way for them to submit that for you. So that's another option to have. And so now all those different documents, instructional sheets that we've uploaded onto the Workforce Professionals Pathway can be found on the resources page. So you just log into your Workforce Professionals account, click on the resources button up at the top, and then it's under the incumbent worker channel. And so you'll notice all the different instructions, the federal and reporting information that you may need. Absolutely everything under the sun that has to do with incumbent worker training is available on that page, and so you can just download all of that stuff. We'll include the archived webinar videos and all that, so that's where you would be able to find it. With that said, I'd like to begin and just walk through adding incumbent workers and what that looks like, and then once we're done with that, I'll show you how to do quarterly reports and do our demonstrations. Are we all set? Is everyone able to hear, and do we have any questions before we begin? If so, what I'd like to do is just go ahead and enter them into the chat pod. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to kind of, I can stop and answer it, or any of the DCO staff or the technical staff can get in there and answer your questions. So first part with adding incumbent workers is the basics, and we always go through this, is to log into your Illinois WorkNet Workforce Professionals account. And so what you do is you go into your account and then you select the appropriate project, so whatever relevant project you have. And you'll notice you have the steps here, and I'm going to get my pointer out. You have the different steps here available that kind of walk you through as you're building through your project. And then these are, some of you may have multiple projects, some of you may not. And so they would all be listed here based on you as your grantee. And so once you're logged in and you've selected your project, we now, if you noticed, once the webinars are complete, we will promote a new feature, a new couple of features for you as you're adding incumbent workers. And what you'll notice is that you'll actually have incumbent workers on your steps process now. So you'll have add incumbent workers as one of your menu link options, as well as your course registration. So this helps you kind of go through this process in a more user-friendly way. So it's really important for you to know that. And it's so you wouldn't be able to do it right now until we finish all the different webinars, and then we'll get started and you could submit all your employees. And so the first thing you do is you click on the Add Incumbent Worker link from the menu options and select your target employer. That's very important because all of that is linked together. So once you have your employer, and if it's not present, you could add your employer. from your site or add it, so you can search them or add them. And then once your employer is selected, choose your work site from the drop-down tab, and so that'll be visible. And once all of that has been selected, you will be able to add your employees. So what's important for you to know here is that there are 3 adding incumbent worker options. And this was all developed with all of you in mind just to keep it as simple as possible. The first option is to add incumbent workers through their Illinois WorkNet accounts. So that's as single individuals, maybe you only have a handful of people. The second option is to add multiple workers. And so what that does is instead of going through the process again and having to get to the grid, it just refreshes your page so that you can keep adding. The third option is the bulk import option, and this is for those of you that are submitting, hundreds, if not 1,000 employees. So you don't have to do that all, as data entry. We've created an option for you to be able to mass upload. So what we'll do is move on to option number 1. And so for option number 1 in adding incumbent workers, what you want to do is you may either search for the existing person or immediately add that person if they're on there. And so what you do is you click on the search for person button to locate an existing user or within the system. Or if the person's already there, you just click the add button. And so the system will display the selected person in the add edit employee form, and then you input all of their different information and required fields. And so what you notice is here you'll have the social security number, military status, disability, categories, these are ethnicity. These are all required fields that you have to notice. But something else we've added now is you also have your courses. So for instance, as you're adding this individual, you can also add them to the different courses that are available for them. And so now if you would move on to option 2, you would just click here for the checked multiple add button, and then you would click Save and move on to the next employee that you would add. So that moves us over to step 2. So you would follow the same exact steps, 1 through 3, and then continue on part 3. And so this is what the check box would look like. And simply click on the box and then click Save. And please note that the system will display the person list after adding or updating the person by default. So instead, if you want to continue adding new people, it's very important that you check that box. And so that's our option 2. Option 3 is our bulk upload. And what's important here to notice is the bulk upload is a lot more like an attachment or so. So I don't want people to get a little bit overwhelmed over, oh no, how am I going to do this? And so what you'll notice is as you're adding incumbent workers, just like on your original tab, what we've done is created a link, and the link says click here to upload employee file. And what you'll notice is you'll get a pop-up box that gives you 3 options in the box. The box moves over, and so you'll have upload Excel files, and the 3 options are Excel, CSV, or XML files. And then once you've uploaded them, you'll have your view data, and so you can view the data and see if they're in the proper order, or if it's the correct file that you've uploaded. And then once you've verified that data, you can import and close that box because it is a new box that's been opened up. Now, the next part of uploading the file is once you've uploaded your file, you simply browse your document. So it'd be like anything else you do when you're searching for a document within your attachments or when you're uploading files and pictures and all that. And so you search for the file, and then the file name will appear. You confirm that that's the correct file that you have. And what happens is when you're uploading, if you've already included certain workers that's within that file, it'll come up as an error. So be mindful of that. Your error isn't that you've done something wrong. It's that those people are already in the system. And so once that's all verified that that's correct, you want to go ahead and close that window and refresh so that the grid will have all those people on there again. And so once all of that is up, you want to view your data, verify your employees, and then close it all up. So you import your data and then close the screen. So what does that look like for bulk employees? So as we've mentioned before, as you're uploading all those files, the next step would be to click on your training courses option on the menu on those steps. And so once you've uploaded all those files, you'll select the course employer and worksite for that file. And so you'll notice here that we have brand new drop-down tabs. And so here you select your course, then your employee. Once your course is selected, your employee will come up, and then you select your work site. Now the three options that you have, and then we'll hold questions until the end, until we kind of go through this, because we'll have a chance to ask some questions then. But for those of you that hopefully can see this, for employees, you'd either want to do those that are not in the course, those that are in the course, or all of the employees. And all of the employees is the default option. You can also search by name. So for instance, if you want to just go through one specific person that you'd like to add. And then once you've selected the workers that you wish to update, you just simply click the checkbox next to the worker's name. So for instance, here, depending on what their status is, what you can do is just go through and either individually select the workers, or you can go in and select them all. And then what you have to do to make sure that all of this work that you've done or uploaded is saved is select checked records. And so this will get all of that up there, and then you press next. So with that said, let me move this over just a little bit so that we can um, see if anybody has any questions. And so does anybody have any questions so far on adding incumbent workers? Hands up, and what we're going to do is move that over. There we go. There we go. And so I'm going to include the chat pod again, and then go ahead and post your questions in there. If you're on the call, um, we're going to wait until the end so that we can do Q&A. So as we're talking through, if you have something that you'd like to ask, go ahead and include it within the chat pod. So moving on, while people are putting that in, I'm going to go on to submitting quarterly reports. And here we have a question from Joe. So what happens if you bulk upload an individual that is already in workNet? So basically what happens is you'll get an error message saying that that person was not uploaded. And yes, you may have a copy of the PowerPoint, and actually you have that in your file share. So I'm going to bring that back out as a PDF form, and so just go ahead and select on that. It's IWTS Adding Incumbent Worker webinar. So go ahead and click on that, and you could save it to your computer. So for instance, with our quarterly reports, the reason it's so important to get all that stuff in correctly is because you're building on your adding incumbent worker information as well as their course information. So once you get all that stuff in, you need to go in and go through their status and the different outcomes and progress that they've achieved and the different barriers. So it's very important to kind of do it right the first time. And so I highly encourage everyone to read through the directions there. It took a lot of time to put it together to make sure that it makes sense, and it would just save you so much time to just take a minute in the first the first sit-down session and kind of go through it all. And then if you have issues or questions, you can, of course, reach out to all of us. And the question here from Kathleen is, I was instructed to only include training sites connected to the project, not individual work sites. Is this correct? I think that all of your so the way it's set up is that you're going through you're picking your training, and then you're picking your employer, and then you're picking your work site. And one may be the same. So you may be the work site and the employer. Guys, do you want to add anything to that? Jerome, maybe? I think that they're muted.
Yeah. Sorry, I had it muted on my end. A training site. You have a work site, and a work site is associated with an employer. So you're going to add the work site to the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you'll add your employees to the work site.
Exactly. Because as an employer, you may have different sites, and you may have those employees at different sites, and so it's good to connect all of that together. Would that make sense in putting it that way, Jerome? he's muted again. But yeah, if you have more questions, we'll definitely have more time to go through that towards the end. So with reporting, just wanted to give you a couple of ideas on, we've put together the instructions for you, and it's very easy. It walks you through kind of similar to this PowerPoint. Um, and then it lets you know where to add things and what to look out for, and making sure that you're submitting it properly. And so the first step to that is obviously logging in and making sure that you get onto your Workforce Professionals account. And then so what you do is under the Incumbent Worker channel that we've created, there is now a reporting link underneath. And so go ahead and click on that link. And what you'd like to do next for step 2 is just to select a project and report from the drop-down tab. So once you've actually selected that report, the users will automatically be taken to the project status report tab where all the reporting criteria is submitted. And so for instance, you'll have all the different fields, and we'll walk through as to what that looks like. And what we've done is kind of separated it between how to do it for just individuals and then how to do it for a mass update. And so for individual, to go into your training status, and for instance, just to point it out, it would be here. You notice how there's a couple different tabs, and so we're now at training status. Um, a course must be selected in order for the update to be able to update the training status. And so once you have selected that course, the page will update, and the students who are enrolled will populate that screen. And so you'll be able to see who's in that course, and then you could either go individually through the select the drop-down tabs for the students that you wish to update, or you can, and then click Update Workers. And so this is how you do it for individuals. And it's very, very important, because if you don't click the Update Workers, none of the different selections that you made will be saved on the page. And so if you want to do this for a mass update of records, all you do is pretty much the same steps as before, only what you'll do is instead of going through each individual here and clicking, what you'll do is go into the box at the top under names. And so now you go and select that, and so it's a checkbox, and then select the desired status in the drop-down above the grid labels. And so you'll notice the different status here for the mass updates. And so once you've selected what they are, so maybe they're in progress or they've completed, you want to, and also if you have maybe more than 25 employees that you want to add on there, you want to adjust your page size to include more employees. Once you've selected where they are in their course, you want to alter the check record status. So that's this button right here, and then update your workers. So make sure that you, once again, update your workers, or else none of this stuff will go through. Now, for the training outcomes, this is, so once you've got them in their courses and they've finished their courses, what you want to do is, if you want to do it individually, you select the worker that you wish to update by clicking the checkbox next to the workers' names. And so what you'll do is, once you check the box here, you'll have the training outcomes on the side. And so either they've received a promotion or their wage increase, and so you want to mark, or maybe all of the above, mark all of that. Now, if you want to do it for more than, let's say you have 10 workers, you don't have 3, you can adjust your page size. And then something that happened, for instance, in the other webinar is if your workers have not completed any courses, they will not appear on this page. So for instance, I was searching for workers, and I changed things around a little bit, and they weren't showing up. So I didn't remember that. So please make that mental note to yourself that they have to have completed courses for you to be able to update their outcomes, right? Because there's no outcomes then. And so once that's completed, you want to alter checked record status, and then update your workers. And so once all of that has been said and done, we're now going over to the mass update of outcomes, and it's pretty much the same, only you click on names here, and then you find out, you select whichever, if it's a wage increase or a promotion up at the top, you want to click your altered check records outcome here, and then you update your workers button, which is at the bottom. Lastly, once everything has been submitted, you actually have a whole tab dedicated to reviewing what information you've submitted on there for your reports. And so all project information can be reviewed before submitting quarterly reports. And so what you can actually do is go and print it, save it for yourself if you want a copy, or go back and make changes if you've noticed. And errors will come up in red. So if you're missing something, the system will definitely remind you that you need to add the stuff in. And within the quarterly reporting information update, you can still save with things that, for instance, if you've not completed the different fields or any kind of information you may be missing, it'll let you go through, but it will show up that you haven't had that in the end when you're reviewing it. So once you have reviewed it and everything is correct, you simply scroll down all the way to the bottom of the screen and click the Submit button. So this is, I think it's pretty easy to go through. This is the new steps screen that you'll have. And so you notice we have adding incumbent workers here, employees, and then your course registration. So in a nutshell, other than the actual responsibilities that you have as grantees, what's most important, the bottom line is make sure you submit your plans, because you can't do anything without doing that. And then adding workers to work sites and courses must happen ahead of submitting reports, because they have to be linked to those different work sites. And then once you have completed that, reports are submitted only once a plan is submitted and accepted, and all workers who are participating in training during that quarter are entered. So for instance, one of our questions here, and I'm going to move over to our polls. Let me open up, is what is the difference between ongoing reporting, quarterly reporting, and final reports? And so what you'll notice as we're going through the demo, and I'll show you how to put that in there, is you can indicate it. So for instance, maybe all of your project is completely done and you're not going on, and so this quarter would be your final quarter. So you would indicate that, and we have a yes or no option that you could check when you begin your quarterly reports. And so it's very important to know that, and if you want more specifics, we can definitely go through it. But I'd like to open up the floor now for those of you that are on the call, if you have any questions, and get that started before we go through the demo. So does anybody have any questions?
The floor mode is on. To request the floor, enter star, then pound.
I'm going to give people a minute to, and I know there was a lot of discussion going on throughout, so I'm just going to read through and see. Like people are okay. So if that's the case, what I'm going to do is move on to the demo part of the webinar. Your screen is going to go gray right now because I'm going to share my computer screen. Do a couple emails while we're at it, get some work done. And so the first part here is actually we're going to go in and add incumbent workers. And so what you do first is I'm going to select one of our test projects so that I can show you how to do this. And so you're going to go in and select your relevant project, so whatever you're working on. And I'm going to go ahead and select Career Link as my project. And then you notice that as this is loading, and I'm going to scroll down, we have all the different tabs here that are now in. So add employees and course registration. And so you have all these different descriptions here, and then you add all your information that you needed, especially within the red marked fields. And it'll show you that your update was successful. And then it kind of walks you through your different steps. You'll notice the next one will be industries, and then I'm just going Go ahead and click on Add Employees. That looks like. And although we've provided all these instructional documents for you all as you're going through this process, um, please know that all these info bubbles are also available, and they're really, really great for you as you're going through your process. So maybe you don't have that document on hand. It walks you through all of this. And so the first thing you want to do is select your employer. So I'm selecting CareerLink, and you notice the Work Site tab will open up so that I can choose the work site now. And so CareerLink Bloomington. And it populates with the screen with the different individuals that we're adding to the project. And so what I want to do is select that individual. And so, for instance, there, if they had an account, actually, let me move back so that you can see what the other options. You could have searched for the person. You could have added a new person if you didn't see them on here, or if they were on here in their Illinois WorkNet account, then you could have just selected on here. So I'm just going to go ahead. And so you have all this information here, and you notice you have all the required fields in red. And so you'll need to go ahead and include if they have a military status or if they have a disability or what that information is there. And then you'll either you can prefer not to answer with ethnicity or go through whatever those details are. And then if you've noticed, here at the bottom we have course enrolled in, and I'm going to go ahead and click course 1. Now if you would have had more than one person you would have wanted to go through, you would have clicked check this box if you're going to add multiple employees. And so you hit save, and it'll show you that you have successfully updated this person. And so now this person is in here, and we're ready to roll. Now, the other thing I wanted to add is, for instance, when you're uploading your bulk files, that's for individuals, but if you're doing a bulk upload, you would click on the bulk upload link, and you'll notice a whole new window pops up. And you have 3 options here. You can upload Excel, CSV, or XML file. You can view your data, and then you can import your data. So what we're going to do is click on this upload button. And it's very simple. It's just like an attachment. You browse for your file. And so I have my demo files up and ready to roll. And so I'm going to click my Excel file, and I'm going to upload that file. Now, for those of you that were asking, well, what happens if I have that person in my field, here it tells you what the name of the file is and all that. And what you do is you click View Data to verify that all of that stuff was the stuff you wanted in there. And for instance, if you would have had issues uploading in the previous screen, you would have had a message, a red error message saying this file didn't upload. So we're verifying that all this information is correct. Yes, this is who it is that we want in this project, and then we would import data. And now what's really helpful here is that you'll get a note saying, okay, this is the number of records that you attempted to upload for, and out of those, you succeeded uploading 4, so you've got no errors and no failed records. And so all of this stuff is up and running, and so everything is successful, and so what you want to do is X out and refresh your screen. So now not only do we have Dane in there, but we have all these individuals. And so you have all these people uploaded into your CareerLink Bloomington worksite under the CareerLink Bloomington employer. So now what we want to do for course registration, just click on that menu option. And so you want to click the course, and we're going to do course 1. And then you want to go ahead and click your employer again. Your worksite. You'll notice all of your individuals are now here and available for you to register in a course. And now you notice I've done this a couple of times, so you have a couple people that are already registered, and some that are not. And so what you can do is go ahead and just add Joe Hank in, or you can add all of the individuals in. And just like we've noted on your directions, you could just select check records. Now, if you had maybe, let's say you had a bulk upload of over 100 people, you would go ahead and adjust your page size. So you can include all of that, and you would do 100 at a time. And so you selected all these records, and we would want to get them in the course, and then select check records, and all of those people were included in the course. And so now they're all registered. And that's pretty much it. Now, I'm going to move back and see if anyone has any questions, and stop sharing just for a second. So is everybody okay so far with adding Incumbent workers and getting them registered to their training course? Now, if you are on the phone, go ahead and press *# to request the floor, and then you could verbally ask questions. If you're listening via the webcast, then go ahead and put it in the chat pod, and I'll give you a minute to do that because I know it takes to get it on there. Easy stuff, and especially if you just take a minute to go through the different, just the two directions to get that stuff on there. It's pretty simple stuff. And please note that this will be available after the webinars have been complete, so you will have all of that ready to roll. Colleen asks, course outcomes. Course 1 comes from where? Is this when you have more than one session? Actually, that's just our test site, Colleen. We just invented a course because we don't have any providers, right? So we don't have, all of that stuff is just bogus information. And so we just did that to identify it as a type of course. Depending on who and what kind of type of training that you're doing, you would indicate what that course name would be, and that's part of you submitting your plan. Does anyone else have any other questions? Good, I'm glad. Okay, so I will move over now to the reporting part of the webinar. And your screen is going to go gray again, and so I'm going to share my screen. Back on. So I've already logged in just to save a little bit of time. And so you would click on the reporting tab, as I mentioned before, and then you would want to go ahead and select a project. And so I'm going to select our test project so we don't screw up any of your information. And as it's loading, you'll notice then I get the option to select my report. And so we made up another report, right? And so we're going to go ahead and let's say our report, our upcoming quarterly report. And so the first tab, as you notice, is your project status report. And this is where it's very, very important for those of you that were asking questions or curious about your final reports. This is where you indicate whether it's a final report or not. And so if you've already completed your project and this is your upcoming quarterly report would be your final report. If you haven't, you would just indicate no. And just in case you have any questions about that, you can go ahead and click on these info bubbles and it'll tell you exactly what that means. Or if maybe you don't have your instructions up in front of you, you can click on that and kind of walk you through. And we've included information, for instance, what would you include in your project overview? So a brief overview of your target sectors or industries, occupations, people that were involved in the training. You want to make sure and let us know where you are within the project. Outcomes achieved. So here you would let us know what you've come up with, what type of progress you've had with your projects, some major activities or undertakings so that you can report on and let us know what people have done. And also obstacles and things that have prevented people from implementing the training. And so that's good to know, kind of get the context of all that. And then the benefits for both the employers and the employees within this reporting period. And so once all of that is added, now I've already done this, So you're not going to, you notice how the system's already been updated. So here you would have a save and you would move on. And so the next part would be incumbent worker training status. And so you would go in and then this, by the way, for you all on your activity sheet is number 2. And so I'm going to select the main course. And also this is just a bogus course we're selecting. Then, so you have all these people that are populating within this course. And so you want to go ahead and either add their completion status. So maybe they've completed and earned a credential, or they didn't complete requirements, whatever that may be. You can go in and do it as an individual, or you could go ahead and mass update through your checkbox. Now, as mentioned before, you want to go ahead and adjust your page size. If you have more than 100 people, you can only do 100 at a time, but that's still a whole lot of people. So for instance, maybe Dane, you made a mistake. You can unclick while you selected everyone. And so you'd go ahead and you would update that page. And so so the button that you would have is after checked records, alter checked records status, and that would be up here. And so once that is complete, you can go in and do your training outcomes and let it load. And what happens, and this is something I noted before, is if your students or your incumbent workers have not completed the course, they won't come up on this part. And so be very clear on your updates and know who you're going to, because there's no outcomes if they haven't completed. And so for instance, we checked a couple people, 2 people that have the outcomes. And so John, let's say, has retained employment and gotten a wage increase. And so you would click the altered checked record status again, and that would save the page. And then once you're done with that, you would go to review. And as it's uploading, I can show you the different fields as to what that looks like. And it'll indicate everything that you have missing, or the different things that you should include. And so you'll go through, this is your project status, and depending on how many courses you've inputted, you'll have these boxes in. So for instance, you have 11 people in progress. And so even though you've had forms that show you the tallies on these paper documents, you don't actually have to include any of that. That's just, that's all automated and done through the portal. So don't worry about filling any of that stuff in. And then it'll show you, all the people completing their certificates and their summary. So now what you can do here is just, this is a very printable page, and so you just click on File, and you could print this document, and so have that either for your records or just for you to save. And then once all of this in, because I've already submitted it for my previous webinar, you would have a Submit button, just like we had on the PowerPoint, and so you would just click Submit, and then you would be ready to go on your quarterly report. So this is pretty much what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now. So go back to the polling questions. Does anyone else have any questions now? Remember to star pound if you are on the conference call. Boy, we have such a good group of people. Everybody gets it. That's awesome.
Juana, Ray,
Hi, Ray.
did we ever mention due dates for the quarterly reports?
We actually have talked about this, and I'm going to let Andy go ahead because we got some very specific information on that. So if you want to jump in, Andy.
Yeah, Ray, we were talking about getting giving everyone 2 weeks to get the incumbent worker information in, and so have that in by June 2nd, and then that's 2 weeks, and then we'd have a 2-week window for them to get their quarterly reports in for the March 31st deadline.
So Jerome, maybe you want to explain what that looks like on our end on the technical side for participants?
Right. What will happen is the night of June 1st, we will go through and take all the incumbent workers that are in courses and everything, and we will make a quarterly report available for each project that has been accepted based on the data that is there at the time. It's like a snapshot. So if you've got workers that participated in training prior to March 31st, we need you to have those in by June 1st, because that's when we're going to generate the quarterly report for you guys and make it available for you to complete. Once that's generated, like I said, that's your snapshot in time, and any workers that you add after we make the report available will show up on the next report.
Does anybody have any questions about that? I think this would be a really good time to get clear on it before we start adding.
Right, and then this first quarterly report is going to be due. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, but I think we decided on June 16th.
Yeah, that's good.
That gives
Good.
them 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then after that, it'll be, the next quarterly report will be available July 1st, and you'll have till July 30th to get it completed.
Yeah, and this is all, the reason it's different this time is just because of the launch of the system, and also everyone should have this information already available, because normally it would have been due by April 30th, so it should be pretty quick to just get it all put in. So
Especially with the bulk upload options and all of that.
yeah.
And then once all of this is submitted, we're going to go back to our regular reporting schedule. So that's very important to remember. So once all of this is made available on the portal, it'd be good for everybody to kind of hit the ground running.
Yeah,
All of us are going to hit the ground running.
And on the formula grants, at least, the old spreadsheets that we have, it's pretty much the same questions being asked in the new system as were asked in the old spreadsheets. So really, you could just, if you already have those filled out, you could just copy and paste in where it's appropriate. So it shouldn't take too terribly long.
Does anybody have any questions? If that's the case, I will let everyone get on with their day. Please do go ahead and contact your grantee contact if you have any DCO-related questions, as well as workNet. And I just want to go back to the demo for 1 second to show you where all of this information is. And your screen is going to go gray again, but I think this is a little bit relevant in the sense of helping you find everything. So if you're on the Workforce Professionals pathway, I'm just going to jump back in. So this is you just logged in, and this is what it looks like. And then you click on Resources. You'll notice that we have a tab here for for Incumbent Worker Training. And so you click on that tab, and this is where absolutely everything in the world that has to do with Incumbent Worker Training is available. And so for instance, with the workNet information, and especially the instructional documents, you click on the Illinois WorkNet Information and Resources tab, and we have absolutely everything available for you here in MS Word as well as PDF. And so these things just, for instance, pop up, and it's a PDF document that you can view. This is, for instance, your employer project description. And what you can do is share this information with your staff that maybe couldn't have made it for the webinar. We'll have our archived webinars here as well. And if you do, maybe you couldn't think of some questions, you're more than welcome to utilize this forum, for instance, that is available for all of you grantees. And so this is moderated by DCO and the WorkNet staff. And so you have instant access to us and getting these questions in. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew where everything was. And you also have the fiscal and reporting documents here available as well with all your different contacts. And so we can't run from you even if we wanted to. So with that said, I'm going to go back and give you guys all one more question, and then if we're all good, I will let you go. Alrighty. So thank you so much for participating. Please go ahead and reach out to us and download all your documents if you need so. They're all in the meeting materials, and we really appreciate having you on, and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The meeting is now over. All the participants have been disconnected.